It's Halloween time, which means that everybody's out in full force recommending the scariest games of the year. If you're tired of the typical spooky mansions and lame jump scares, then you might be interested in Halloween Forever, a fun little 2D platformer that evokes the spirit of 8-bit classics like Ghosts N Goblins and Monster Party. It's not very scary and probably won't take you long to beat, but this debut release from Imaginary Monsters is a fun diversion from the generic survival horror games and their haunted houses. This is the story of what happens when an undead sorcerer raises the ghouls and ghosts of the underworld in order to celebrate All Hallows' Eve every day of the year. But in a twist the sorcerer didn't see coming, his magic also turned a nearby pumpkin into a candy corn puking action hero. Now it's up to that pumpkin man to fight a bunch of monsters and find his destiny. Much like the holiday itself, Halloween Forever is short and sweet. The game consists of 5 stages, 10 bosses, and a whole bunch of secret characters to unlock. It's the kind of old school action game that expects you to beat it in 3 lives, even if that means replaying it over and over until you memorize every last obstacle. There are no continues and only a handful of 1-ups, so you're gonna need to harness all of your 2D platforming prowess in order to defeat the evils of All Hallows' Eve. As far as action games go, this one's pretty simple. Pumpkin Man's only attack is to vomit candy corn, which has this arc that reminds me a lot of the worst weapon from Ghosts N Goblins. The attack here is a little better, but you'll quickly find that the range is limited. It's probably worth mentioning that Pumpkin Man can also duck and double jump, which rounds out all of the moves at his disposal. It may not seem like much, but it's more than enough to defeat all the monsters in this all-too-brief horror game. Now, although simple, there are a few things that Halloween Forever does right. For one thing, it includes a lot of alternate paths and hidden areas to explore in each of the 5 stages. There are also a bunch of secret characters to unlock and play as, including a butternut squash and a Jason impersonator. And did I mention that there are a number of different endings to unlock and enjoy? These are just a few of the ways this game incentivizes you to replay the adventure multiple times. So, it probably won't surprise you to learn that a lot of the issues I have with this game are the same problems that plagued the 8-bit games that inspired Halloween Forever. This game has a big problem with random deaths and cheap hits. It's not so much that you can't anticipate the enemy attacks, but rather that you're asked to jump blindly into a pit and hope for the best. Usually this works out, but it's far too common to land on an enemy or straight into a pumpkin-killing spike trap. The game wants you to memorize the hazards in all 5 stages, yet never gives you the tools you need in order to see what you're about to jump into. This is only made more frustrating by the fact that you have limited lives and no continues. This is a game where every single life is important. On the other hand, I like the boss fights and how each of the unlockable characters is a little different. The butternut squash, for example, spits out explosive fire, which ends up making the game substantially easier. Some of the other characters can explore different parts of the level, reminding you that, despite a few cheap deaths, this is a well laid out world. There are plenty of hidden areas and bonus items to find, including stuff I completely missed the first several times I ran through the stages. There's nothing necessarily earth-shaking about Halloween Forever, but it's a well-made 2D platformer with a lot of charm and personality. At only $5, this debut release from Imaginary Monsters is worth picking up. Halloween Forever nails the 8-bit look and feel, all while giving us cool bosses, non-linear stages, extra characters, and plenty of secrets to find. It's short, and there's some frustrating cheap deaths, but there's also a lot to like about the level designs and different endings. If you're the type of person who would rather play Ghosts N Goblins than Resident Evil, then Halloween Forever was made for you. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite 2D horror game? I mentioned Ghosts N Goblins a whole bunch of times in this review, but there are a ton to pick from. I'm talking about Castlevania, Splatterhouse, Sweet Home, Too Dark, and so many more. Let me hear your thoughts in the comments below. Looking forward, we have a lot of horror to talk about this month. Look for my review of Call of Cthulhu on Tuesday and Heliophobia later in the week. In the meantime, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.